Alright, damn it. Now I bought an entire console to play you. You better not disappoint me. So The Legend of Zelda Breath of Wild is the newest chapter in the Legend of Zelda game series and the launch title for the Nintendo Switch. I'll go ahead and say it up front, guys, this is the first time I have ever played a Legend of Zelda game. I know. Now from what I understand, Breath of the Wild is actually somewhat of a reboot of the Legend of Zelda series. You got Link waking up from a 100-year slumber. He doesn't have any memory of any of the Legend of Zelda games of the past, any of the adventures. It is a completely clean slate. Now with all that being said, this game does follow that classic Zelda storyline. You got that evil calamity Ganon who's been unleashed. He's taken over the castle in Hyrule. He's got Zelda imprisoned. Link wakes up and you have to go and defeat Ganon. Which is a great segue into the best and coolest thing about Legend of Zelda Breath of Wild is that this game lets you take your own path from the very beginning. Seriously, the game starts, Link is woken up, you get a small little tutorial just enough to get you started, and then the game basically just says, okay, go beat Ganon. What? Yeah, that's the approach they take into Breath of the Wild. They let you just do whatever you want. You can go right for the main boss immediately out of the gate if you want to, but as any gamer will tell you, not the smartest path. Or you can go and get all of the different divine beasts. You can ramp up your hearts. You can ramp up your stamina. You can get all this new equipment. You can get all these new clothing and variations of armor. You can go through all these side quests and shrine quests. And you can do all these different things in this gigantic world of Hyrule leading up to your ultimate defeat of Ganon. And the order in which you do all those things is 100% completely up to the gamer. And that's what I love the most about Breath of the Wild. I cannot remember a game that gives you that much freedom in how you can take on the story. The closest thing I can remember to that is Bloodborne, where it just drops you in and you just go do whatever the hell you want, figure things out on your own, and best of luck to you, buddy. The thing you're probably going to spend the most time in your gameplay is mining all of the shrines that are in this game. I think there's like somewhere over 120. I think I've got about 50 or 51 of them, so I'm not even halfway done, and I've done a ton of these damn things, it feels like. They're basically these individual little puzzles. You find them, you go to them, you go inside, it feels like a small little dungeon, and there's some kind of a puzzle in there you have to solve in order to get this spirit orb. And that is a lot of fun because there is not a single puzzle in this game that repeats itself. It always feels fresh. Some of them are really fun and inventive, some of them are crazy challenging, and aside from the ones that use the motion controls that are a little bit wonky, which is more of a negative with the system itself than the game, I had a lot of fun with all of the shrines. Aside from that, all of the gameplay in this is kind of your stock action-adventure exploring survival game. You walk around, you meet people, you meet new civilizations, you go on little side quests, eventually unveiling your main quest to defeat the main villain. But what keeps that aspect of familiar gameplay fresh in Breath of the Wild is the fact that when you're unleashed into the small area of Hyrule that's actually familiar to you, you have to find everything else. You have to find these civilizations, you have to find these villages and these shrines and these divine beasts on your own. The game does not hold your hand, does not even give you hints half the time of where these things are. You have to climb mountains, you have to cross rivers, you have to gain abilities to reach different parts of the map, you have to climb these towers to unveil parts of the map, and it's entirely up to you where and when you find these different aspects of the story and in what order you challenge them. Hyrule is humongous, people. I can't think of another open world game, and I've played a ton of them, that has an environment and a world as vast and gigantic as Hyrule. This place is huge. Almost to the point that when you first start this game, and even up to the first 8 or 9 hours of gameplay, it's a little bit overwhelming how huge this game is, because you really don't have a direction as far as your objective. You don't have a direction as far as what's your priority. Do I go here first? Do I go here first? Is it going to benefit me to go there? Or do I need to get something over here so that I can defeat whatever the hell's over there? You just got to figure it out on your own. And that's a lot of fun if you're a skilled gamer. Now, being that this is my first experience with a Legend of Zelda game, I don't have any past attachment to Link, to Zelda, or to any of the characters that are in this game that may have popped up in previous Zelda games. And I'm here to tell you that they are really fun characters. You're really invested in Link's journey and not only regaining his memories, but saving the Princess Zelda. You find a lot of side characters who are not only entertaining and goofy, but you really care about them and their community, and you want to help them defeat this Calamity Ganon. So that's a really big pro for this game, is that you can take somebody who's completely unfamiliar with the material and you can make them invest in it with one game. The other aspect of the gameplay that I should probably touch on a little bit is the fighting. And the fighting mechanics in Zelda, they'll take you a little bit to get used to them, to get used to how you dodge and counter and parry certain attacks, what weapons work best against which enemies. It takes a while, but it is a lot of fun, and it is pulled off well once you get the hang of it. Now, I admit fully, I did a lot of exploring in this game, a lot of shrine mining, a lot of building up my armor and my weapons and exploring the world and really beefing up my Link before I attacked a lot of the divine beasts and a lot of the main little mini bosses in this game. So I didn't have too much difficulty defeating them when I finally did interact with them. Some people might have a problem whenever they get there with trying to figure out how the hell you take these people down. But like I said, that's one of the beautiful things about the way that they approach the gameplay in this, is that it's completely up to you how prepared you are going into those fights with whatever you did before you walked into that fight. Some people are going to feel completely naked walking into a boss fight, and some people are going to feel like they're so badass that that boss wasn't shit. It's going to be a different experience for everybody. Now, this game is getting universal acclaim. It's getting 5 out of 5 and 10 out of 10 from damn near everybody. You got people saying this is a masterpiece. You even have some people saying this is one of, if not the greatest game of all time. Do I agree with that? No. Despite all the things that I love about this game, there are some problems with The Legend of Zelda, and I don't feel like a lot of these reviews are being fair to the cons in this game. I feel like there's a lot of excitement over this, especially with the release of the Switch, that might be skewing people's ratings to a degree. It's not a perfect game, people. The main thing that got really frustrating with me after a while, because I realized it's not something that's going to fix itself later on with your experience, is the fact that your weapons, your shields, your bows, your swords, they all break after a while, and it gets really fucking aggravating because you go and you spend so much time getting into certain shrines and to getting certain weapons that when they smash and they shatter upon certain enemies, you're aggravated as hell because you just did so much work to get that weapon and now it's gone. And aside from that, the game doesn't even automatically change you to another weapon, so you have to stop mid-battle, switch to another weapon, and start attacking with that one in hopes that that one doesn't break. And from what I understand, that's an element that's brand new to Zelda. That's something that's exclusive to Breath of the Wild, and I don't understand what they were going for with that. That's one of those elements of open world, like really realistic games that gets in its way sometimes. I feel like when some games get too far into the realism with, well, yeah, a weapon's gonna break eventually, so we gotta put that element into this game. It's not fun. It's realistic, but you don't play games for realism. You play them to escape and to enjoy yourself. There's nothing enjoyable about constantly having to change your weapons and find new weapons and getting killed in battle because your shit shatters on them like glass. Another element to this game which fits into that criticism of being too realistic is the weather effects in this. It rains in this game and you are no longer able to climb anything. And for some reason, that always happens when your objective is at the top of the highest fucking cliff you can ever find in Hyrule. And it's aggravating as hell. There's no spells or no armor or little climbing gloves or anything that you can find in this game that lets you climb while it's raining. And it's aggravating. As soon as you go to climb and the rain comes, you just slide and slide and slide down. And now you have the choice of either camping out and waiting for the rain to stop, or just moving on and going and doing something else and coming back to that objective later. And it's cool the first couple of times with the realism of this world, and I understand what they were going for, but again, that's where realism gets in the way of fun, and that wasn't fun after the third or fourth time of sliding down a giant mountain cliff. And the last aspect of the gameplay that got really, really aggravating for me after a while was how monotonous it gets interacting with certain people that you have to either trade with, or they're going to help you improve your armor or improve your powers. And even the cooking aspects of this, it's not streamlined at all, and it's aggravating how long it takes to do certain interactions with people. For example, there's these fairies that you interact with throughout the game. Whenever you give them a certain amount of rupees, and they come out, and now they will add things to your armor, they will add certain effects, and now if you have the certain items that they need, they can improve your armor. They can make them stronger, they can make it a little bit more sneaky, they can make it more where you climb a little bit faster, and instead of just going into a menu and saying, upgrade all of my shit, you have to go individually. Okay, upgrade this piece of armor, and then there's a small little cutscene dialogue, and then there's this little animation that pops up where she kisses you, or she blows a kiss at you, or she touches your armor, and then you have to go back into the menu. Okay, now do this piece of armor. You have to go through the whole thing again. Then you have to back out. Okay, go to this piece of armor. Why isn't there just a button improve all of the shit that you can improve, lady. It's aggravating and it gets really, really tiresome and monotonous after a while. Another aspect is the cooking. Even though there's a really cool aspect to finding things throughout Hyrule like apples and mushrooms and even pieces of things that fall off of the fallen enemies like teeth and wings and eyeballs, you can put them all together in this little cooking pot and make elixirs and make little skewers of food that improve your health. That aspect of it is cool. But why the hell can't you save recipes? That drove me nuts. There is probably thousands of different recipes in this game, and the only way that you can find them is either by accidentally discovering them, by experimenting with certain combinations, or you can find these posters throughout the game that have item A plus item B equals elixir. And there's no way to save the recipes. You either have to memorize them, or you have to have a guide on your phone or your laptop open the entire time you're playing. Why? Why can't you save recipes? It got to the point where it was so aggravating and so ridiculously monotonous trying to figure these things out that I didn't even bother trying to figure it out anymore. I just took whatever item I had. Okay, I got mushrooms. I'll throw a bunch of mushrooms into a pot. Oh, I got a mushroom skewer. Oh, I got a bunch of raw meat. I'll throw a bunch of raw meat into a pot. Oh, I got a steak dinner. And that's pretty much how I played the game. Just basic things that I would make. Didn't try to do anything creative with it because the process that you have to go through is ridiculous. Now, aside from those gameplay quirks that I didn't really appreciate, there's a few things about the way that the Zelda game is kind of told that I don't really care for too much. Namely, the silent dialogue in this. I know that this is the first game that actually has cutscenes with spoken dialogue, but it's so inconsistent. There's only the real main cutscenes have spoken dialogue. Everything else is just clicking through written text. And I would rather the game choose one, because it's really weird how sometimes you're spoken and you have like this little bit of depth to a character and they have a personality and the way that they deliver their lines, and then the majority of the other time you're just reading text with no tone, no personality behind it whatsoever. And I know that's an element of Zelda games that most fans of this series are going to expect and they're not even going to think twice about, they're not going to be bothered about. As a brand new fan of this series and somebody playing this game in 2017, it seemed really dated to me. And the other negative that I have is with the way the characters are portrayed in this. There's some of them that are really fun, some of them that are really entertaining, but there's other ones that are so goofy and hokey and childish that it pulled me out of it a little bit as a 27-year-old playing this game. It felt like it was made for kids in those aspects, even though the difficulty and the approach of this game is not really for kids, it's for a much more mature gamer. So that was a little bit off-putting to me too, when you get certain characters that are just so hokey that it's almost off-putting. And again, I'm sure that's a criticism from me coming as a new Zelda fan that some people are going to love and expect from years of playing these games, but as a new fan, it's a little bit of a turnoff. But despite all of those issues, despite all of those hokey characters, despite all of those dated gameplay aspects, and despite all of those aggravations that I still have when I try to play this game, I had a blast with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So to wrap all this up, guys, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is an amazing open world. It's got a crazy amount of variety, and I love the approach that you can go off and do whatever you want from the beginning to the end of this game. It's a great game to have on the Nintendo Switch, and it's a great addition to the Legend of Zelda series, despite a lot of dated gameplay aspects and a few hokey characters and the way that they present the dialogue that I think should be updated for a 2017 game. So if you're interested in checking out Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and you have a Wii U or the brand new Switch to check this game out on, go ahead and pick it up and have fun pulling a few all-nighters. So what do you guys think of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild? Do you like this game? Are you having fun playing with it on the new Nintendo Switch? Do you like the hokey aspects of this game and all the dated aspects like having weapons break and having to do all this stuff to get elixirs and to trade in items with these fairies? Or do you like that aspect of the Legend of Zelda games? Put all of your thoughts on Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and the Nintendo Switch down in the comment section below, and we'll talk about it. Please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button, that way you get to come back and see me next time. But if that's not soon enough to check out some more of my videos, you can check out a few more by clicking right over here.